Followed up with the psychiatrist, and he told me, my mother, he said she has schizoaffective disorder. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And imagine you're like 17 and you get this diagnosis.
Yeah.
I had a knife and, I started cutting. And at the time when I was doing it, it felt good. The pain felt good because I could feel something. I couldn't feel anything at all. What a mistake people make is once they start taking the medication, they feel better. They feel like, oh, I don't need this medication anymore.
Hi, and welcome to another episode and another season of the Woman Witness podcast on the Woman Witness TV network. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. As you know, here we bring to you voices of dynamic women that are out there making a positive impact in their lives, in their family, in the community around them. Women of faith, women of resilience, women who have battled through something and they are bold enough. They found grit to turn around, grab the hand of another sister and pull them through and be a witness. Today, I am so excited to welcome my guest today, Miss Jessica Baggett. She is known for her creative alias, Protege. She is also a self-published author, award-winning filmmaker, playwright, musician, and DJ. But beyond her long list of creative achievement, she's a fearless mental health advocate whose work pulls no punches. Diagnosed at 17 with schizoaffective disorder. After symptoms started at 15, Jessica was later also diagnosed with bipolar and OCD. Doctors said that she will never live a normal life. She proved them wrong. Through her one-woman shows, original books, powerful films, soul-stirring music, Jessica has turned her pain into purpose. Her advocacy has caught the national attention, including recognitions from the Taraji P. Henson, Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, as well as features in mental health magazines and also major newspapers. She's a woman who rebuilt herself with God as her foundation, and now she stands as proof that healing and success and purpose are still possible, even when the odds are stacked against you. I am so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Miss Jessica Baggett. Hi, Jessica. Welcome to The Well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm just happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, Jessica, and talk about some of the things that you have been through and some of the accomplishments that you have done just in the name of something that someone told you that you will never get over. I'm sure that our conversation today is going to bring so much hope for people that are out there who may be struggling with some of these same symptoms, same diagnoses, and hopefully your story is going to give them some hope. So that's what we hope to accomplish today. I want you to take us back to the beginning, Jessica. Talk to us about how everything got started, how you at such a young age received such a hard diagnosis. And I don't know if I said it right, schizoaffective.
Yeah, schizoaffective disorder. So that disease is a chronic mental health illness and the combination of schizophrenia and bipolar. So you may start having symptoms of schizophrenia and then you have symptoms of bipolar at the same time. So that's why they call it schizoaffective. So it all started, I was about 15, and I always say it was one night that just changed my life forever. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I started seeing flashing lights, and I felt like the room was spinning. I didn't know what was going on. It scared me. And I was never the same after that night. I remember going to school the next day and I was kind of nervous about it. And I would look at the teacher, and I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school. And I looked at the teacher, and then when I looked at the board, I saw an image of the teacher on the board, and that freaked me out a lot. I was so scared. It was like so scary. Ooh. And then after that, things started escalating where I was having hallucinations and auditory and visual hallucinations. That's what they called it back then. It was auditory and visual hallucinations. So I didn't know what was going on. And then I had my first anxiety attack. I remember my mother took me to the hospital, and they just said, "Oh, it's just anxiety. Don't worry about it. She'll be okay." So, they sent me home. They told me just anxiety, just calm down and try to, bounce back. But at the same time, I'm 15 years old, so I don't know anything about anxiety. And it's because at the time, this was around, it was kind of around 9/11. So they thought it was because of that. So because that was like 2000, what 9/11 was.
Was it?
And then,
was it two? Was it 2001, 2002?
Yeah, that was it. So it happened around that time. So then doctors were like, well, maybe she's just have anxiety from 9/11. But it really wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was just more me having the symptoms of schizoaffective disorder.
Yeah.
That's how everything started. And I remember being in high school, having anxiety attacks every day. And it was like the worst thing for me because I felt so embarrassed. But luckily I had friends to cover me, like, it's okay. But it's still, but imagine you're in class every day, you're in high school, and then you start having anxiety attacks, and it's a mess.
And this was before, let's put this into perspective. This was before anybody knew what anxiety was. Did your mom, was she familiar with what anxiety was, what it looked like? Did she know about that?
No, she didn't know. Nobody really knew. Because back then, mental health wasn't as, out there as it is now. Because now it's like, okay, but back then.
I know what it is. Right.
Yeah, but back then, people really weren't talking too much about it back then. That was almost like 20 years ago. People really weren't talking about that back then. So nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew.
Right. It was almost a thing that even if they did experience it, they, they didn't do anything with it, for lack of better words, because we didn't know what to do with it. We just had to hide it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. You had to hide it.
Even more stress because it's like, what is going on? What is this?
Right.
What is that? That was really tough.
Thank God you had your friends to cover you during this. And so at age 17, you received this life-changing diagnosis. What do you remember most about that moment?
So I remember I got the diagnosis from seeing a psychiatrist because before that, I was in a facility. I ended up in a pediatric psychiatric ward because I started self-harm. So I had to go to the hospital. So I stayed there for 3 days, but it felt like I was there forever. It was only 3 days, but it was like a life-changing moment because seeing other kids going through the same things that I was going through, it made me feel like I wasn't alone. But, all these other kids, and some of them were like way worse than me. But, I was there for 3 days and then they said, you have to follow up with the psychiatrist. So when I got out of the hospital, I followed up with the psychiatrist and he told me my mother, he said she has schizoaffective disorder. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And imagine you're like 17 and you get this diagnosis.
Yeah.
Oh, you have schizoaffective disorder. So my mom, in her mind, she was thinking, well, what do we do next? Like, what's
now, right? How we fix it?
It's like, am I crazy? Am I, because I wanted to be a normal teenager. I didn't want to have a schizoaffective disorder. I just kept thinking, I'm different than everybody else. I just want to be like everybody else. Because at that age, people are applying for colleges, having summer jobs and having fun and doing everything. But for me, I'm in the hospital. I'm trying different medications. And it was just like, I was not a normal teenager at the time that I was before. So it was help.
Do you want to, Jessica, are you comfortable talking about that time where you experienced the self-harm and like, how did it come about? And, did you, talk to us about that if you can.
It was so many things going on in my head and so many things that I couldn't control. I couldn't control the anxiety attacks. I couldn't control the hallucinations. I couldn't control anything in my life. Everything was out of my control. So in my mind, I thought, well, the only thing I can control is pain. So that's what came about that. And I had a knife and, I started cutting. And at the time when I was doing it, it felt good. The pain felt good because I could feel something, I couldn't feel anything at all. But once I started self-harm, I felt something, it felt like I felt something and I couldn't feel it. So after I did that, I went to school the next day and I spoke with my social worker because she was a big help as well. We had a social worker in high school who I confided in a lot. So then, I showed her my arm. It was like, and so they would go to the hospital. So that's how I ended up in the psychiatric ward.
Let me ask you something. And you said something so profound. And I remember having a guest on and she went through some of the signs to look for, especially in teens. And I just want to take a pivot and see if you can give some feedback to some teens or maybe parents of teens who may see something like this on their child and they may not know what to do in that moment. What would you tell them?
Definitely go to the hospital. Definitely go to the hospital. Because you don't want to keep doing it. Because they were telling me, oh, if you keep doing that, you're going to either end up dead or you're going to end up in the hospital. Because you never know when you're cutting how bad it could get. You could cut an artery. You could cut it. It's really bad. You need to go to the hospital and get checked out. Definitely.
Yeah. And for the parents who may witness it and maybe perhaps the kid says, I'm okay. What would you tell that parent?
They're not okay. They need to get checked out. Definitely go to the hospital. At the time, I didn't want to go to the hospital. Of course.
Sure. Scary.
I was like, I don't want to go. And they're like, you have to. And it was crazy because I remember they brought my parents to come in, my mom and my father. And they told them, she was cutting herself. She has to go to the hospital. And my mom, she was upset. But my father, he didn't know how to express it. So he punched the wall at the school. He punched the wall. Yeah. I felt so bad. I felt like I
like this is my fault.
Yeah, like I disappointed them, That's how I felt.
We have to give ourselves applause as a society because we're so much further along than we were back, when this was, we were going through it, right? And
I heard
no, and I think that stories like yours is so powerful because you are giving us as parents and others tools to use when we encounter these, or if we are going through it ourselves and you're just trying to feel something, you're giving us a perspective from the other side that, you might need to, face it and get some help, even if you don't want to.
Yes.
So thank you for being vulnerable with that. Doctors told you why doctors would say this at a very young age that you might not live a normal life. And I can give you stories on that all day long, but talk to me about what those words meant to you.
It was a shocker, but my mother, luckily I have a praying mother because they actually told this to my mother. They said, she's going to end up in a facility. She's not going to live a normal life. She's going to be in and out the hospital and she's just not going to have a normal life. My mother did not accept that. She started going to different churches praying for me. And they compared my mother to a woman in the Bible where they said, if I could only touch the garment of Jesus.
Come on.
I would be healed. So my mother, she would go to all these churches, pray for me. She would reach out and put oil on my head, praying for me. Like she didn't accept it. She didn't accept it at all. And I'm not saying most parents would accept it, but no, this is not how it's gonna be. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna do this. So I'm just blessed I had a mom like her who didn't give up on me and didn't, listen to what the doctor said. I'm not saying doctors are wrong or anything like that, but I don't think that they should have said those things, but they said it. So, but we proved them wrong. Yes, absolutely. Hold on. Can I just talk to you real quick about how important it is to be in the right environment?
Like when you were just a baby, right? But I want you to even think about, ladies listening, if you are in an environment that is not supportive, not uplifting, sometimes we don't have the faith or the vision to see ourselves healed, to see ourselves better, to see ourselves prospering. And we need other people to see that for us. And by all means, have faith when we don't have faith. So thank you for your mama. Look, and she taught you how to do it for somebody else. And that's why you are here being a witness. Exactly. Come on. Thank you, Mom. Right. I want to talk to you about living with the diagnosis. Now, thank God he has healed you. He has put his hand on you. He has led you. Now you are living with this schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, and OCD. What does managing those conditions look like on a day-to-day basis?
I'm not going to seriously say, oh, everything is great. I'm 100%, I'm not even going to say that because it's not the case. I don't even think anybody is 100% every day, even if you don't have anything wrong. So,
period.
But so I take the medications in the morning, and then at night I take my medications. I do still go to therapy, so I'm trying to stay, balanced and stay, great. It hasn't been easy, but, I'm here. I'm still moving, even last year, an incident happened last year where they sent me to the hospital because the psychiatrist, the therapist at the time, she thought I was suicidal. So my mom was telling her she's okay. She's been through this before, because she was kind of new to me. She didn't really know me that well. So she called the cop, and the cops came in the house. And they're like, oh, any weapons in the house? Is there any weapons in the house? And we were like, no, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what's going on here? And they're like, we had to take her to the hospital. So they followed me in my room. They was like, grab your coat, grab your phone, grab this and grab that. I went in the ambulance. I get to the hospital, and they're like, what happened? I told them what happened, and I explained everything. And then they let me sit there for like hours. They sent me home. They didn't even keep me. Yeah. So it's like little things like that is like, I'm not saying not to trust certain doctors, certain therapists, certain psychiatrists, but it's sometimes you have to be your own advocate. Sometimes you have to, obviously there's nothing I could do at that moment, but sometimes, you have to listen to yourself. So I'm not saying it's not easy. And I do go through times where, I get depressed sometimes, or I get, I've been suicidal before. And, but I just keep reassuring myself that, you've come this far. So, don't feed into it. You've come this far. You've been through this, you've been through that. And you are helping other people maybe going through the same thing. That's why I feel like I've gone through what I've gone through so I can help other people. So it's like, I can't give up now. I have to keep going. I have to keep going.
Absolutely. I used to, that whole old saying, right? Why me? Why me? Yeah. And I also look at it too, because God has spared you, he has saved you and set you apart. I think the enemy knows that. So he's got to silence that voice any way that he can to keep you from being a witness and sharing your story. Don't get ahead of ourselves. What do you wish more people understood about living with this illness and this diagnosis? What do you hope that more people knew?
So one thing I would say is, you have to take your medication, because I know how some people feel about medication. Like, oh, I don't have medication. Right. And the mistake people make is once they start taking the medication, they feel better. They feel like, oh, I don't need this medication anymore. And I'm not even going to lie. I've thought that a couple times before in the past too. When I started feeling better, I was like, oh, I don't need this medication anymore. I'm right now. I can, it was, and then I ended up, going back. So taking medication is helping you. Just because you start feeling better, that's because of the medication. Don't stop taking medication. So it's medication, and then therapy helps a lot. Therapy helps a whole lot. Back then when I first started therapy, everybody's, oh, you go to therapy, in school. Oh, you go to you go to therapy. Something must be wrong with you. People don't go to therapy. But nowadays everybody goes to therapy.
Everybody goes there. Yeah.
But it's not a big deal anymore. So it's fine. If you want to go to therapy, you can go to therapy. So it's like the combination of medication therapy, and then also the spirituality, of course, praying every day, God, heal me, God, please get me through this day, So my faith in God, because honestly, when I first started getting sick, the enemy tried to steer me away from God. Because I used to have like auditory hallucinations, and they're like, oh, God is not real. God is not going to take God, so I had to say, my mother always used to tell me, like, say, Satan, get behind me. Satan, get behind me. All the time. She said that to me. Said, when you hear those things, say, Satan, get behind me. And that's what got me through that. So I would say your spirituality, medication, therapy, and then a support system. You need a good support system. Like I said, I had my mother and I had my family and friends. So you need a good support system. And I'm just blessed because a lot of people don't have that support. A lot of people don't have it. But if you do have it, use it, because everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that support. So if you have that, use it. Definitely use it.
Yeah. Oh, man. You have said so much right now. I just want to jump in. Absolutely. Can I go back and when you said to take your medication, I've spoken to so many women over the past year, over 150 interviews that I've done, and a lot of women stress the importance of taking your medication. And just as before, no one wanted to go to a therapist, and then now no one wants to take medication, right? But if you need it, you have to take it, and as you said, the long term is better. So thank you for saying that. And another thing that you said is, the having that good system around you and being able to talk back to the enemy when he talks to you. For the longest, I did not know how to pray. I swear I didn't. I swear I still don't. Like, literally, if you get me in front, like, some people pray so good, I'm like, dang, I can't follow that. There's no way. But I heard a pastor say a long time ago, like, if you just say Jesus, like, that's it. Like, really, like, even those voices that, will make you feel some sort of inadequacy or feel like you're not good enough, or, I had a painful childhood of trauma, they'll come back up that shame and that guilt. And, I'm just like, Jesus. I don't even know what to say, but I'm gonna just say Jesus, and then the voice is silent every time. So thank you for your mama for saying that. Satan, get thee behind me. I want to talk about your art and advocacy. I've written 17 books and they have not been easy, but to be able to do what you are doing with your art, your books, your music, films, plays, and you're bringing healing and awareness for everyone to see on a different level, which I love. I'm all about that. Was there ever a moment when you realized that your story is powerful?
I guess once I started feeling a little bit better and my medication was stabilized and the therapy was working, then it just came to me like, wow, you could actually help other people. Your story is powerful. And at the time, I didn't think it was, obviously. Yeah. But once I started feeling better and my mind was clear, and I thought, wow, you really did it. Yeah. Well, now
I'm a miracle.
When I was starting thinking clearer, now I said, well, now it's time for you to help other people. Now it's time for you to start sharing your story. Be an advocate. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, I asked God, like, God, what can I do? How can I help other people? And he poured me in the right direction. I started writing a film script when I was in my late teens. And then, at the time, I was trying to shop it around. I was young. I was like 18, 19, trying to shop around a film script. And then everybody's saying, well, we don't accept unsolicited material, so we can't use it. So then I was like, well, I want the story to come out. So again, God, what can I do? And then he gave me the idea of putting it into a book. So that's how I wrote my first book from a film script. That first one was The Keys of Life. And that was about like mental health. And it also dealt with music. So it was like the keys of life and the keys on the piano. So I wrote that book first. And it did pretty good, So now I wrote the second book, which was the sequel to the first one. Then the third book I wrote was Lessons Learned. And the last book I wrote was The Struggle is Real, which was about my life growing up with a mental health condition, but it was told with different stories, different examples of it. And yes, I've done that. And then one thing I'm proud of is my one woman show, which I did was You Don't Understand the Situation. Yeah. It was a one woman show. So I started telling my story. And I used different, tactics. I tried to make it funny, try to make it real, and it was really great. That was one of my greatest compliments, was doing that one woman show. And the feedback that I received, everybody's like, how did you do that? How did you get on stage and just tell everything? Like, how did you do that? Like, how was that even possible? Like, you felt so comfortable just sharing your story. I said on the one woman show, I was never ashamed of my illness. I was never ashamed of it. It's just that I kind of was like, well, how other people see me, but it's really about how you see yourself. So then I said, you know what, let's do the show. We're going to do it. And I did that. Recently, I think 2 years ago, I did a documentary called This Journey Called Life, which was, I shot it with my iPhone. I edited it on my iPhone and I did it. It actually won 2 awards at a film festival, Best Documentary and Best Local Film. So everything is possible. Like, I did that with my iPhone. I literally recorded it. I edited it. I starred in it. I did everything on my iPhone, and it won 2 film awards. So Go tell me what God can't do.
You better say it again for the people in the back. Woo!
Yes. Oh, my God. I got into like the arts because I went to college. I went to NJCU and I graduated with a degree in media arts.
Wow.
So I wanted to also touch on that because I didn't even think I'll be able to go to college. Actually, first of all, I barely made it out of high school.
Wow.
Matter of fact, my junior year of high school, I had to stop going to school. I couldn't even go to school anymore because they said I was a liability. So if anything happened to me in school, it would be on the school. So they told me I couldn't come to school anymore. So the end of my junior year, I couldn't even go to school. So then when it was my senior year, they said, okay, you can go back to school. But then I had to pick up from the classes that I didn't take in the junior. So I didn't think I was going to be able to graduate with my friends. So that kind of, had me a little, and like I said, my friends were a step ahead of me because they were already applying for colleges. They knew what they were doing. And me, I'm just like, okay, what So I ended up graduating. I ended up graduating from high school on time. So I graduated. And then I went to a community college first, but I didn't want to be there that long because they didn't really have anything that I want. Like, they didn't have the classes I wanted there. So what I did was I got some classes out the way. So then I got accepted to New Jersey City University. So then I was only taking 2 classes at a time. Now, let me tell you about this at the time, I couldn't handle a whole full class, 4 classes. Cause with the illness and dealing with this. So I just want people to know, even kids growing up or teenagers going to college, I took 2 classes at a time. So it took me a couple years to graduate.
Yeah.
But when I received my degree, that was one of the proudest moments of my life because I knew how much work I put into it. I didn't give up at all. Even though people graduated, I had classes where they graduated years and years before, and I'm still here. My sister, she graduated from college and got her master's. I'm still in school trying to get my bachelor's. But once I received the bachelor's, that was one of my proudest moments. I knew how hard it was and how I could have gave up and said, forget about it. I'm not even doing this anymore. This is taking way too long. I've been in school most of my whole life, my whole life.
Yeah.
But I kept going. I just kept going.
Yes.
And I reached out to disability services in school, which is another good thing to do. They gave me more time to take a test. They gave me more time to study. They helped me a lot to get through college. So that was another thing that helped out a lot too, was the extra help, And that, like I said, that was a proud moment, graduating from college. That was a very proud moment.
Absolutely. Man, I love that. I love what you said. And leaving that little nugget back there for, those who may be struggling with some of the same things that you face. What did you say? You don't have to do it on everybody else's time.
Exactly.
Do it on your own time.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and look.
Yeah.
It can be fun.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. Can I just go back to you doing this one woman show? I mean, I'm just, I feel like so many times we come up with excuses, right? I can't do this. How can I do this? I need help. right? And we have so many barriers that we place in front of ourselves. But for you to say that you went and did this one woman show, which is, and it was so deeply personal to you, and you told your story. So how do you protect your peace and your vulnerability on stage when you're just going for it?
Natural. I didn't feel anything like holding me back. I just went along with it. I fed off of the crowd's energy, and I just did it. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Because everybody asks, like, how did you do that? You just and it just came. It's just like, I did it. I practiced a lot, and my cousin helped me out with it. And once I got on stage, everything was it just ran smoothly. It's out there. It's all.
I'm so amazed by it. What is a piece of your work that you truly feel has captured your full journey and tells your story to the T, to 100%?
Which was the most recent. One was pretty personal. The document. It has to be between the documentary and the one woman show. Either one of those. Those were because I was actually like talking about it on camera, and then on the one woman show, I was actually talking about it on stage. So, because when you're writing the books are very personal too. But it's like when you're writing the books, people are reading it and they're understanding it, but to actually see the person like on screen or on stage, that's a whole different experience because you're actually they're looking at you.
Yeah.
So it's like, those two things were like that. It was like those two things were very vulnerable, very personal, very, because I'm on a stage and like I'm on camera. So it's like, yeah.
I want to talk to you about recognition. You've been doing so much in the community and just getting your story out there, doing everything that you have been able to accomplish, being featured in newspapers, magazines, and even being recognized by the Taraji P. Henson Foundation. What does that kind of recognition mean to you?
It means a lot, actually, because I don't do it for recognition. I do it, to help other people. But to be recognized for it is a blessing in itself. I didn't ask for the recognition, but to receive it, that means a lot. Even when I was in the magazine, they called me a mental health warrior, and I never thought of myself as a mental health warrior. And I remember after I showed my documentary, somebody yelled in the audience, "You're a warrior!" And I was like, "Oh my God!" I couldn't even hold the tears. It just like started falling down. Like a surreal moment, and advocacy, that means like the most to me right now is just trying to get the story, trying to push it out there, trying to, help other people. I've done like mental health days for the community where, we come in, talk about mental health stuff, and World Mental Health Day. I did an event for that. That's when we showed the documentary. And I like to go to different schools and I like to go to different schools to talk to the young teens about mental health as well. So I just love doing it. It's just a part of me, it's just something I just love to do.
I want to ask you at what moment or project that you have done that made you feel like this is way bigger than me?
The film, the documentary. Yeah, when I did that, I was just like, wow, this really happened,
Yeah.
Because if you watch it, it's kind of, because it touches on so many different things and levels of, and it's going back to certain parts of my life that I had to actually bring back out. Because, I don't keep that stuff, out all the time. So it's like bringing back old memories, old, things that was a little tough at first. Because, you have to bring it up. Because you're thinking that, it's hidden down there somewhere, but then you have to bring it all the way out. So it's like, okay, this happened. Because at some parts, even like talking to doctors when I felt like I shouldn't even be taking the medication anymore, the doctors are yelling at me, "You need to take your medication. Do you want to go back to where you were before?" I didn't realize how serious the illness was until I stopped taking my medication. I didn't realize how serious. So. That's really.
No, is this one woman show? Is this on YouTube?
No, I'm gonna put it on YouTube soon, but right now I have the DVDs available. So, okay. But I know that because I released the DVDs like a couple of years ago. I don't think people still have DVD players. So I actually
yeah.
So I am going to need some food because I don't believe you will have a DVD.
No. Oh my God, I love you. Okay. I need to see this. Okay. You speak about God and your faith and your mom, and I feel like it's instilled it in you even when you probably didn't realize it. I mean, from putting oil on your head, praying over you. How has your faith evolved through this whole journey?
It was like going from when I first started having the symptoms, so now, big difference. Well, because like I said, I felt like when I first started having the symptoms, the enemy was trying to get me away from God. Like I was saying, how he was like, "Oh, God is not real. This is not real." I even stopped reading the Bible because every time I tried to read the Bible, my mind is like, "Oh, this stuff is not real. This is fake stuff. You don't need to read this. You don't need to do this." Because I grew up in the church. I've been in church my whole life. I grew up in the church, and to have that the enemy trying to take that away from me was like so hard, because that was one thing that I had confidence in, was my faith. And then when they try to take it away from me, what do you have left? It's like, what else to get a glean on? You don't have it.
Yeah.
So right now, compared to now, my faith has become very strong, and reading the Bible more. And, of course I go to church, every Sunday I go to church. So praising God, feeling his spirit, trying to get closer to him. Even in my lowest points, praying, God, you done it. You had me for this long. Like, it is a song when they say, don't give up on God because he won't give up on you. So it's like, I really give up on him because he will never give up on me. So I have to think about, I'm like, I love music. So
yes, me too.
Songs, like, they really speak to me. So at some points, I think about certain songs and the lyrics, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like, that's it. Even sometimes if I'm on my way to work, or I play the gospel songs in the morning, sometimes I like tears start coming down, and while I'm on my way to work, because I can feel it, and I feel it. So it's that connection, because no one will love you more than God. No one will love you more than him. Nobody. His love is unconditional. You don't get that from anybody else. So that's what I just keep thinking.
I love it. His word is living, and it doesn't matter if you hadn't pulled out that Bible. That's fine. Like Jessica said, just turn on the music, that worship music. Words will live in you, begin to move. I want to ask you, what does resiliency mean to you? You've been through so much, and before we press record, on top of everything, you're still battling day-to-day things, things that a lot of women go through in silence. Talk to us about that, what resiliency really means for you, not just surviving but thriving.
It means maybe just knowing where you came from and knowing where you are now, kind of comparing it, and just thinking like, wow, I actually went through that. And it's like, now it's like this. So no matter what happens now, it won't compare to what happened before. So this is one thing. That's what I would think. Oh, this is nothing, girl. You went through all of these things. This is nothing. You can handle this. You went through all of this before. God didn't leave you before. He's not going to leave you now. So just keep going. That's all I could really say about that. Just keep going. Like, you did it for, it's okay. This is nothing compared to what you did before. So
yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. I want you to give us some advice to some young person who's listening right now, and they're struggling with their mental health, and they're struggling with moving forward. What would you say to them?
I would say, first of all, do not be ashamed of having a mental health condition. Because like I always say, if I had diabetes, right, I would have to take the insulin to get better, and the medication to stay, allowed to stay good, to stay better. So having a mental health condition is a disease. It's nothing you did or anything. So you have to just take care of it. Take your medication, go to therapy, it's just the same thing. It's an illness. It's a disease. Like I said, diabetes is a disease. You have to take care of it. mental health condition. It's a disease. You have to take care of it. It's nothing you did wrong or anything. It's a disease. You know, you didn't ask for it, because I know I didn't ask for it, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So don't be ashamed, and make sure, like you said, that you have a support system. Make sure that, you know, you're following what the doctor is telling you. Make sure that you still have your spirituality. Make sure, you know, that you know, okay, I'm going through this, but this is not going to be forever. You're going to get better. Look at me. You know, you're going to get better. It's just, you have to work at it, you know, and don't give up. Don't give up, because it's not easy. Because like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm great now. I'm cured. I'm not cured. Right. It's just something I have to deal with day to day, but I'm not cured. There's no cure for it, but you can live with it, and you can live a normal life. Never think that you're not normal. You just have an illness. They're like any other illness. It's a disease. So I would just tell them that, like, you got this. You could do it. It's okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love what Jessica said. She's like, yes, I think people will, especially young people, you're looking at your 17-year-old self now, maybe 18, 19, 20, and you're saying, you know, look at Jessica, she's fine. But as Jessica said, you know, it's still something she has to work on. And you can too get to that point as well. But you have to keep going. I love what you said. How can families and communities and institutions do a better job to support people?
I feel like people are getting as much support as they should be, especially in African American community. When it comes to mental health, that's why I try to, you know, do my diligence as a mental health advocate. But I think this should be more programs, more, you know, insight on, you know, mental health, especially with like the younger generation coming up. There needs to be, because I see every day, I see people, you know, struggling with mental health or struggling. They don't know what to do with it. So now they're on the corner and they're, you know, drinking, you know, the older ones, they're like drinking and they're turning, because they don't have the right support. They don't have, you know, community. So it's terrible that they have to suffer like this, but they don't know anything else. They don't know anything else. Yeah. Even with the younger generation, because I spoke at a school before, I think this was last year. Sometimes I go to schools, talk to the kids. And one of the students told me, she said, we don't even have anybody to talk to here. We don't even have any resources here. And that hurt me, because I was like, what do you mean you don't have any resources? We don't have like the social workers. We don't have, because they said it's too many students. And I was just thinking, you know, that really, you know, it hurt me, because I was like, what are these kids? Who could they confide in? Maybe they can't confide in their parents. Maybe they can't confide in anybody else. But when they come to school, why don't they have anybody to confide in? You know, so they need to do something about that. More programs, more mental health issues. You know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, you know, more things for the mental health community. You know, they need it. They need it.
They do. They absolutely need it. What changes do you still want to see in how society views the mental health community, or those who may be suffering from mental health?
Not crazy, so because that's the first thing. That's what I
say. Say it one more time, Jessica. You're not. Say it one more time.
Crazy. You're not crazy. There's nothing. It's like I said. It's an illness. It's a disease. And like I said, when I first was diagnosed, first of all, they told me that it was kind of rare for me to get diagnosed with that so young. They told me that first. And then secondly, it's like, okay, like I'm crazy. Like, you know, that's what it is, because nobody knew back then how, you know, to deal with mental health. But now everybody knows how to deal with it. So it's like, you don't have no excuse now. People go to therapy, people take the medications, people do everything, you know, so it's not as taboo as it was back then when I was experiencing that first. So now it's like, okay, people go through it now. Celebrities are coming out with it. You know, it's not something normal, but it's not as, you know, taboo as it was back then. So just, you know, take care of it. Take care of it. Live a normal life. Just, you know, got to take care of it.
Before I let you out of here, Jessica, you have definitely poured so much at this well. We didn't even really get to get through everything that we wanted to talk about, but a good part of it, which is all that matters. I want you to tell us where we can find your books and where we can find this play once you get it updated. Well, tell us about that later. I'll put it in the description below. But tell us where we can find it.
Okay, so The Struggle is Real, which is my recent book. You can find that on Amazon. Amazon.com is The Struggle is Real by Jessica Baggett. That's on Amazon.com. Mm-hmm. You go to my website is www.eclectic1.com, where you will find my other books. You will find other things about me, my DJ gig, my DJing and everything. So you will find that on there. My Instagram is protege, PROTAJAY, and my Facebook is facebook.com/Jessica Baggett.
And I'll definitely leave all that in the description below, so you guys know how to get in touch with Jessica. Get her out to some of your schools, some of your programs that you have. You need some speakers. I'm pretty sure she could do online or in person if you are in her area. Jessica, what's next for you creatively and personally?
Now I'm in the process of working on another book, but it's still in the beginning stages of that. And I've written a play that I want to produce. I'm just trying to find the right cast members for that. So that should be in work soon. Just do more mental health days. I'll probably start another one for May. And also the documentary and just same stuff, really. Just getting more things out there.
I love it. I love it. Love it. If people want to support your work and get involved with your mission, can they find all that information on your Instagram handles and website and all the stuff you just mentioned?
Check out my website. It's www.eclectic1.com. That has everything on there. You could definitely reach out.
Perfect. Okay, so if there's one truth that you want every listener to walk away with, what would that be?
Let's leave with this then. Since I always mention this because it was inspired by my first book. Mm-hmm. And I always leave off, every time I do something, I leave off with this quote that I came up with. And I would say, just because you may face challenges and obstacles in your life doesn't mean that you can't accomplish great things, that one day you'll find the keys of your life.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Man, and it's absolutely right. I love the keys to your life. And it is so true, because those keys are something that we possess, that we have, that the enemy fights us day and night to get us not to use and to realize that we already have them. I wrote this little poem a long time ago. It's on my TikTok, maybe 2 or 3 years. It was based off of a dream that God showed me a long time ago, that I was trying to get to this floor. And I didn't realize that this floor was already mine. I didn't realize that I had the keys to get there all along. I just never used it. And you're absolutely right. Okay. We have everything that we need. All right. Yeah. Okay, Miss Jessica, I absolutely loved our conversation. I looked up and I'm like, where did the time go? There's no way that we can sit here talking this long. But that's what happens when we are pouring at the well.
Yes, thank you. God lead the way.
Listen, okay? Let us get out of the way. Jessica, thank you so much for coming pouring at the well. I am so full. Like I said, we could, of course. Anytime. I want to thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in to another season of the Woman Witness podcast. I want to thank my guest today, Jessica Baggett. Thank you so much. You are amazing. And ladies, I want you to subscribe, follow Woman Witness TV, Woman Witness podcast on YouTube, on Roku, on Fire TV, anywhere that podcasts are played. Follow us so you are sure not to miss an episode. Of course, follow Jessica on all her social media. It'll be listed in the description below or scroll across the screen. And I want to thank you. And perhaps you were chosen for such a time as this to write, to tell your story, your truth. Until next time, bye-bye.